welcome back to my channel. In today's video I have my September wrap up for you, and this is another month that I did a mid-month wrap up, so I'll have that linked down below if you haven't seen it yet, the books I read in the first half of the month. So this is going to be the 12 books that I read in the second half of the month, so let's just get right into it. So the first book I read this month was The Hawthorne Legacy by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the second book in the Inheritance Games series, and this one I can't say much about obviously because it's the second book in the series, but I did really like this one. Gave it 5 stars. I love the first one as well. Like, I can't recommend this series enough. I keep posting about it on my Instagram and everything because I'm obsessed with it. I even got my mom a copy of this book. That's how much I loved it. So definitely check out this series if you haven't already. Next, I read Neon Gods by Katee Robert. I gave this one 3.5 stars. It wasn't my favorite. I found the beginning was very slow moving, and I think it was like at the 60% mark where I was like, okay, I'm finally like getting into this and I'm interested in what's happening, and because of that it wasn't my favorite. I think I liked A Touch of Darkness better as far as Hades and Persephone retellings go, but I did like it. It just wasn't my favorite. Next, I read Truly Devious by Maureen. This is for a video that is coming in a couple weeks, I think, and this one is a sort of murder mystery, I guess, but also like a kidnapping mystery, maybe you could call it. It's very much, for me, I found like YA. Like, this is obviously a YA book, but I felt like this book felt like a YA book, and it's about a girl who goes to this sort of fancy school where years before the owner of the school's wife and daughter were kidnapped, and there was also a student murdered, and they never really figured out who was responsible. And so she's going to the school, and her like thing that she's good at is crime. Like, she's super into true crime, she's into solving all these mysteries and whatever. So she goes to the school and she's like planning to solve this crime. And I just found that, like, I thought that was going to be the focus of the book, but I just felt like it wasn't really what ended up being the focus of the book, and that's why I was kind of like not super into it. But I do think I'm going to try and read the second one and see if I like it any better. But like I said, 3.5 stars for this one. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't my favorite. Next, I read Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. This was such a random book for me. It wasn't one I was planning to read or anything. I just saw it this day and decided I was going to read it, and I really loved it. I've never read any mafia books before, and this one was like the first one I've ever read that really dealt with that, and it was different than I thought it would be. Like, just sort of hearing people talk about mafia romances, this wasn't what I was expecting, but I did really like it. Like I said, I don't know if I said, I gave it 4 stars, almost gave it 5, but like maybe 4.5, because it's not like an all-time favorite, but it was really good. I forgot how much I loved reading books like this. I haven't read anything that was like darker in a long time, so I'm excited to sort of get more into that now that I have Kindle Unlimited too, which is exciting. So I'm hoping to get into more of those books because I used to read them all the time last year and just for whatever reason stopped. Next, I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This is another one I read for a video, and I loved this book. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did, and one of the things that I really loved about this book is that it is the first book in a 3-book series, but it doesn't end on a cliffhanger, which I've been like getting tired of books ending on cliffhangers lately, and this one I was glad it didn't, because especially with mysteries, I'm the kind of person, I want answers. Like, I don't want to end the book with more questions than I had at the beginning of it, and a lot of books have been like that lately. The only one I can say that I honestly didn't feel like annoyed at the cliffhanger was the Inheritance Games. I did, like, that was fine. Like, that mystery in like 3 parts is fine with me because of they do get answers. But in some books I just find they don't get any answers. And this one, like I said, totally just went off on a tangent, but this one was really, really good. It gave me a lot of first, second season Pretty Little Liars vibes. If you haven't heard of this book, it's about a girl who decides for her capstone project she's going to investigate this murder that happened a few years before. And the reason she decides this is that this girl died, and then a couple weeks or days, I don't know, later, her boyfriend kills himself, and they're like, okay, he must have been guilty, like that's why he killed himself, so it was definitely him, case closed. And she's not convinced that that's what happened because she knew the boyfriend, and she's like, I don't think he would have killed her, and I don't think he would have killed himself, so it just seems off to her, and she's like, I'm gonna investigate this for my final project. And she ends up meeting the boyfriend's brother, and he's kind of helping her piece things together, and they're working together to figure out what actually happened to this girl because they never found her body. And so she's like, for all they know, she could still be out there. In this book specifically, I liked that there was so many possible, like, people that could have been responsible for it. Like, it led you down a lot of different roads of like, oh, well, it could have been this person, or maybe it was this person, or maybe this was actually what happened. And I really liked that. I feel like a lot of the sort of like murder mysteries I've been reading lately have been very straightforward in like who was the suspect or the person that did it, basically. And this one was just not like that. Like, you could guess throughout the book, but I don't think anyone would actually have been able to guess the exact ending of this book because it was so all over the place, which I really liked. And also I really liked her relationship with the brother because they're like getting closer, and he is kind of sort of been like outcast by the town because he's like the murderer's brother, and she just doesn't care. And she's like, no, I think he's innocent, like, you're great and whatever, and they hang out all the time. And I just really liked that sort of aspect of it too, of this guy finding his place in society again. And so yeah, I gave this one 5 stars. Like I said, really liked it. Definitely a good murder mystery if you're looking for something for like the fall time. Next, I read The Legacy by Elle Kennedy. I did a whole reading vlog on this, so I'm not really going to talk about it. I will link that down below if you haven't seen it. I gave this 5 stars. It's obviously the epilogues for the Off-Campus series. Really liked it. Again, have a whole reading vlog. Next, I read Sweet Dandelion by Micalea Smeltzer, and this one has been on my radar for so long because you all know I watch Lovely Like Laura's videos all the time, my favorite book videos to watch. She recommends this book a lot, and so it's been like, I've been aware of it for a long time, and like I said, I finally got Kindle Unlimited so I could finally read this, and I did. And it wasn't what I was expecting exactly. I liked it for the most part. I think I would say I liked it up until 70%, and then after maybe like 80%, there was just like this weird part at the end where I was like, what is happening and why is this even in the book? Like, it just seemed off to me, a little strange. I did like the story and I liked the ending, but there was like a weird part sort of in the middle there where I was like not a fan. And so yeah, gave this one 4 stars. Might have been 5 stars without that weird part that I didn't like. But other than that, really like this one. It's a student teacher, sort of. It's about a girl who ends up dating her guidance counselor, basically. She has lost her mom, and she was herself in a school shooting. And she ends up moving in with her brother and going to this new school where she has to see the guidance counselor for like an hour every day because of what she's been through. And she ends up obviously getting a lot closer to him, and he lives in her building, so they kind of keep bumping into each other. And it was just really cute. I really like this. Like I said, there was like sort of an odd part in it, but if you can ignore that, it's a really good book. Next was One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. This is, again, another one for a future video that I'm going to talk more about. This one, I really like the story. I love anything, like The Breakfast Club is one of my favorite movies, so I love anything that sort of has that vibe to it, even if it's like very like minorly related. But I did like that vibe of this book. I did guess who the murderer was really early on again, and that's something I've been really hating lately. But I do think the book was enjoyable even knowing who it was going to be in the end, so do with that what you will. I just saw the preview thing for the TV show last night, and I'm like crazy excited about for some reason. I don't know. But like I said, I knew who the murder was, but I still think it's worth reading even if you'd figured that out, because it had so many like other aspects of it that I found enjoyable to read, even if you weren't focused on the sort of murder mystery part of it. Next, I read We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, again for another video. This one I gave 3 stars. Wasn't my favorite. You can't say much about this book without spoiling like all of it, but I do talk about this more in the video that will be coming out in October sometime, so keep an eye out for that. But wasn't my favorite. Didn't love the sort of crazy plot twist that everyone kept hyping up, because I was just kind of underwhelmed because I was expecting something super crazy and didn't get that. Next, I read In a Holidaze by Christina. This is obviously a Christmas book, which you're probably like, why are you reading that in September? And the answer to that is I'm trying to pre-film a lot of my videos right now for the holiday season, because if you know me and if you've been on my channel for a while, you know I get super busy during this time of year and usually end up not uploading anything for like the month of December, and I really want to avoid that this year. So I'm hopefully going to film like my December videos soon. So I need to read some Christmas books because I want to do a Christmas romance rec or holiday romance recs. So I read this one. This was obviously like super popular last year. I believe it came out last year. And it is about a girl who goes to this cabin every Christmas for a week, and basically it's like her favorite week of the year. She goes with all of her parents' college friends, so they've all kind of grown up together, but they're not related. And there's this one brother that she really like has had a crush on for years, and he has a younger brother who's her age that they all kind of thought she'd get with, but she wants the older brother. And she ends up basically reliving the same week over and over again, trying to figure out like what's gonna make her happy. And I'm not usually into that thing, like sort of idea of like repeating the same day over and over again, but I didn't mind this one. I thought it was really well done. It was still interesting even though it was like the same things over and over again. Like they skipped over a lot of the things that had happened. Every time she did it, she'd be like, oh yeah, this happened again and again, and then they'd move on, which I appreciated. But I gave this one 4 stars. Thought it was really cute. Definitely made me want to put up my Christmas tree, which is like, can't really do that yet because it's still September. But really liked this one. I'll probably talk about it in that Christmas video I was talking about whenever that is finally uploaded in December. Next, I read Tryst 6 Venom by Penelope Douglas, and this was another one I read for a video. I gave this one 4 stars. I loved the end of this book. I liked the middle of it, but I just could not get into the beginning of it. I thought this book was just so long. I've realized lately, I think my cap for pages in a romance is like 400, and this one had 570 pages, and I was just tired by the time I got to the end. I think I could have done without the first 200 pages. Like if I had to subtract anything, it would have been the beginning, because I just could not get into this book at the beginning. But by like the 300 page mark, I was kind of warming up to them, and then by the end I loved the book, but I was like, it took me a while to get there. And so like I said, I gave this one 4 stars. If you don't know, this is Penelope Douglas's first sapphic romance. It's between 2 girls who go to this like preppy private Catholic school, and one is like the daughter of like all the rich people in town, you know, and lives in the big house and has all the nice things, and the other girl is from the wrong side of the tracks, literally, in this book, and is there on a scholarship and whatever, and they end up getting together. And it's also like a bully romance, so the rich girl is kind of like bullying the other girl at the beginning, but they also kind of go back and forth enough that I wasn't sure who the bully was supposed to be at the beginning, but I do think it was supposed to be the other girl. And so like I said, really liked this one, but it was just so long, and I'm just not into long books anymore, with probably the exception of Mariana Zapata, but yeah. And the last book I read this month was Rookie Move by Sarina Bowen. I just picked this book up super randomly as well, and I'm so glad I did because I loved this book way more than I thought I would. This is a second chance and coach's daughter book, which is like 2 of my favorite things in a hockey book. And basically this guy and girl dated when they were in high school, all through high school, and something happens to her at the end that kind of makes them grow apart a little bit, and she ends up breaking up with him. But he never stops loving her. He never stops like wondering why she broke up with him. Like he still doesn't know even like years later. And he ends up being traded to, or I guess not traded, he comes up from the minors to this hockey team and finds out that her dad is the coach and she is the publicist for the team. And so he's like, oh my god, like I didn't think I would really ever see them again, and now here they both are, and they both hate me. And it was just so sweet. I really loved the guy in this book. He was just, he's always there for her, like even when she's like a jerk to him, he's like so nice to her. And he was just so sweet, like even at the beginning, like right from the beginning, he's standing up for her even though she broke up with him and he doesn't know why. And I just really, really liked this one. I thought it was really cute. And I gave this one 5 stars if I didn't say that, because I was just so obsessed with it. It was so good. This is part of a whole hockey series of standalones, so I'm probably going to continue with the series because like I said, really love this one. And so anyway, those are all the books I read in September. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. I do new book videos every single week, and I will see you next time.